Hello art students. Today we're going to do our artwork for the rainbow fish. So I have my book right next to me so I can be looking at how the illustrator in this particular book did their beautiful artwork. I'm sure that this is a painted illustration. We don't all have paints right now, and I am going to be using crayons or crayon type materials, soft pastels. So I'm going to move my book to the side. Now I noticed that the water is vertical. It's not sideways, horizontal, it's vertical. So I have my paper in that position, like it's standing up. And I have various colors of blues and violets, little bit of green. Okay, so to start out, we want to work on the water or the background for our fish. So I like to hold the colors sideways and do strokes. Now you can leave some white in between for the other colors. Could also just leave white in between in general. Now if you notice I picked up some red there, that's okay, and I'll tell you why in a minute. I have a paper to the side. Sometimes when you get colors on your different colors on your crayons or pastels, you need to have a paper next to you so you could clean them off. Okay, let's see. What other color do I want to add to this? The violet. Okay, so I know it doesn't look like much yet, but you'll see in a minute. I'm going to stop that. What you'll need is a napkin or a tissue to start blending or softening your crayons, your colors, so that it looks more beautiful. Okay, so I've already done that. I'm going to bring my other paper over here. That's already been blended, and I'm ready to start on our rainbow fish. So the shape of his body is like an oval or a seed, perhaps. Now, when I do art lessons, I always talk about lines and shapes and start with the biggest part first. So we're starting with his body. Now I have my pencil here, and I'm carefully sketching out the shape of his body. Now keep in mind you need space in the back for his tail. Okay, so I'm gonna darken that up a little bit in some of the parts. I'm not worried about these extra lines at this point. Eventually you won't even see them anymore. Okay, now the reason I didn't darken the back is because I want to add, it's a triangle. If you look at it, turn it this way. It's a triangle, but it has, instead of a straight bottom, it has a curve. So the point would be up here. You really wouldn't notice the point. So I'm going to start by adding that line and this line, and then I'm going to round the end, and then I'm going to connect them with a inner curved line. So there's the tail. The fin at the top is also a triangle with a curved section on the top. So here goes that round, more like that. This could be a little smoother over here. So now I am going to do a little erasing because I shouldn't have made that so dark. It's my good eraser. That seems to have disappeared. So back to this eraser. Okay. That's okay, that worked. Let's supposed to be like that. Okay, once we get this all colored, you won't even notice those extra lines. Also at the bottom, some other fins that he has a small one in the back. This one seems to be on the other side, and this is on the front. The way I could tell is if this is the bottom of his body, it goes above that. So, and then this is the one that's on the other side that's very similar, but smaller because it's further away and it doesn't cross over his body line like this one did. Erase that. And then the smaller fin in the back is what it is. Okay, so now we have to start adding the details. So I'm going to start with these lips. Okay, the lips go in the front. Over here. And they do stick out a little bit further than the body. A little bit more erasing happening like that. His eye is round. He's got a colored blue eye inside. Now, we have to add these scales. Now, there's many ways to do this. If you have a piece of celery, if you look at the end of the celery, that's called the profile, you would notice that it's curved, okay? I'm not going to use celery. What I'm going to do is use some curved lines. So I'm turning my paper this way. Now, first I want to have his face shown where that is. Now, it doesn't have to be exactly like the picture. You know, you're doing your best. So there's his face, okay? I separated his face from his body. Now, the scales, I would just say do this. A bumpy line. Row after row of bumpy lines. Until you reach the back. Okay, now I want to get coloring on this. So there's my rainbow fish. Looks pretty good. Okay, many different colors here. You choose your favorite colors. You don't need to go with the exact colors on this book cover. The other thing is we got some shiny stuff happening. Now, if you have glitter, this is the time to get it out. Okay, what I did is I got a piece of tin foil, aluminum foil from the kitchen, and if you fold it, a couple of times, then you can cut while it's folded. You're going to cut like the letter C. And then the bottom here, I'm going to do another, little C from where this is the fold section. Okay, now put my scissors down. If I separate these, I should have at least 4 shiny fins. Okay, either way, you're going to need some glue. So I have that. But first, I want to color in my beautiful scales. So with my various colors over here, I'm going to quickly place some of these colors. Now I'm doing it in a way that I feel like it's balanced, okay? Where I put my colors, I spread them out in a way that's going to have the viewer, which is the person that looks at your art, look around your artwork and see how beautiful it is. That's my focus here, is on having the viewer look around at my art, keeps their eye traveling around the artwork, whereas they don't get bored with it. Okay, now notice that it's okay if our water shows up in part of the fish, because basically that is also part of his colors. Okay. There's no exact way to do this. I'm doing this kind of randomly, putting my colors in. Okay. I'm going to color most of it, and then I'm going to blend it a little bit with my tissue. I'm leaving that one blank because I'm definitely going to have one of my shiny fins right there. All right, so let's quickly do his fins. Now I'm coloring it kind of roughly, which means I'm leaving a little bit of white showing, and I'll explain that in a minute. Just want to quickly get some color on all of this. Okay, there's that blue. I definitely want to add a little bit of this violet or purpley color in. I think it's pretty, and it's one of his colors. And let's see, a little green. I do want to add a little green because he definitely has some green as part of his colors. Again, this is all roughly laid in. You can go over your pencil lines with your crayons as well if you want to do that. Okay. And his lips are this golden color. So I have a golden color here. Gonna go ahead. So that stands out. So that's the only place this golden color shows up. So that would be called emphasis. You want to emphasize his lips. Okay, there's bubbles that come out of his mouth. They're here in white. I'm going to leave that till later. Let me add a little bit more color into his face. You could also add some white into this. Okay, so there's the color. Now I'm going to take my tissue. I have a pile of clean ones next to me. Now the way I do it is I just fold it and I take one of my fingers. Now you can get this on your fingers, which is no big deal. And you could blend this with your fingers because it washes off. But I prefer to use a tissue, and like we did the background, blend this so that the colors gradually go into each other, softly, smoothly. Okay. If you want to turn the tissue and get the clean spot so you don't transfer one color into an area that doesn't have that color, that's another way to do it. I'm not worried about it in this case. Well, it's starting to get a little ugly. So when it gets ugly, that's when it's a good time to turn the tissue. All right. Almost done this part of blending, and then I'm going to add in my beautiful glittery foil. This part here is not making me happy. That looks a little bit ugly. So I add a little more of the beautiful color. Back to that. Go to a clean spot. Rub that in a little. Now I like it much better. Okay. Now I definitely want to get a clean tissue to do his body. So because I don't want these scales to blend into each other, I'm doing one color at a time, and I'm going to turn the tissue And when you blend, what happens is you're filling in the white. Looks more natural, looks nicer. Do your best. Okay, now lastly, I would like to blend in his face a little. Okay, I'm not going to touch his lips at this point. Okay, so there's my rainbow fish without the shiny scales, which I'm going to get now. So this is how I'm going to do this. If you have glitter, that works too. Little glue. A small dot goes a long way. Now I have all my scales sitting here to the side. If you put too much on, it's going to squish out. You end up getting it all over your fingertips. You don't want to do that because then all these little pieces will start sticking to you instead of to the paper. A dot is a lot. Excuse me. Okay. His shiny scales. That's what the story says, right? These are the ones that all his friends want to have. And I don't blame them. They're so pretty. So, one more time. If you have tin foil from your kitchen, aluminum, or you have glitter at home, use that. I think I need a couple up here. Then this part is done. Now, if you notice in the story, if you have this book at home, let's see, sometimes it looks good. You have to hold up your paper and look at it that way as well, because you'll notice it looks a little different if you step back from it for a minute, or if you move your paper a different way, you'll notice something different about it. All right, so I'm going to stop with that. You could add some tin foil or some glitter into his fins. I have a couple of random pieces here. I think I'm going to do that quickly. And I'm just putting the glue in the spots where I know I'm going to add it, so I can put the glue down and just quickly put in the tin foil. Now, I don't know what you call this at home. I call it tin foil. It's easy to lose track of these pieces. I'm going to cut a few more quickly. And then lastly, you need to add the greenery that's growing at the bottom. The seagrass, and let me cut this in half here. There's some leaves growing underwater plants, because this is actually a seascape, boys and girls. A seascape is an underwater landscape. So because under the water, there's also the bottom. And that's the land part. But obviously the water is the sea part. Okay, last piece here. Okay, all right, I'm done with that. All right, so now I think he looks pretty shiny. You can keep working on that, but let's quickly look at this. See, there's leaves, and down here there's different color coral, and then the bubbles. So we're going to do this quickly. The bubbles, I'm just going to use white. Here's my clean end. We all know bubbles are round. Make sure you can see my bubbles. They float up to the top. They come out of his mouth. You put as many bubbles as you want. There's my bubbles. You might not be able to see them on the video, but there are bubbles there. You could also get your marker, go around the bubbles so they're more obvious. Now when you do this, you're going to get colors on the marker, so you have to clean off your marker tip. Over on that paper, I also want to outline his eye, and I'm going to outline his mouth. I'm not going to outline the fish at this point, so that looks a little more, it looks better now, I believe. Okay, the only thing is I see like an empty spot right here. I'm going to put a little foil there. I have a small piece. Here it is. Okay, when the glue dries, it'll dry clear. Okay, down below, here we go with our leaves. Now, I know you guys would prefer to just draw them. So you start with the vine that they're growing off of. Okay, leaves, these particular leaves look like any other leaves that you're used to. Kind of like a teardrop with a line through the middle. Okay, now these plants are growing off of the picture. You don't really see the bottom of our seascape, the bottom of the water, because it's down below our picture. All right, so you can go on and put as many of these leaves as you want. Okay, quickly get my green. I'm going to start by going over the stem to define that. And now I'm going to color these in a little bit. This doesn't have much of a point on it, but I'm not going to worry about it. And when artists work, things aren't perfect, okay? They work with what they have, and there's a lot of happy accidents going on, in my opinion, where, okay, that's not really how I wanted that, but how can we make that work for us? So I picked up a different green, and I'm filling that in. Okay, if you want to blend these, you can get your tissue to soften these to make them look like the rest of your picture. Also, down here, I'm going to use some different colors for the coral. And I'm not drawing lines for this. I'm just going to do wiggly lines. Again. A little, see, now I'm going to use this gold again down here. Now, sometimes what artists do is, even though I wanted to emphasize his mouth up at the top as being golden, I don't have any gold in his body. I am going to put some of this gold at the bottom of my picture and make a connection. We all know that word, connection. Okay, so I'm connecting his body to the seagrass down below. This is all kind of random, wherever I feel like I need some color. I'm putting it in. Again, it's not something that it's completely planned out. Now, I am going to blend this a little bit to make it look more blurred by the water. Because when the water's moving, so this would not be crystal clear because the water is moving. Oops. Okay. And by blending it, it makes it look like the water's moving, and that's what we want. So finish your pictures, finish your artwork, have fun with your seascape, with your rainbow fish. Add another fish in there, his friend, the little blue fish from the story, or a different color fish. Here's my finished artwork. Here's the book. Okay, so have fun with this. Get your glitter out, get your aluminum foil out, and all your colors, and don't forget the napkins and the glue. Have fun.